education is both the source of snobbery and the source of its own the transcendence of snobbery. Now, when you are when you are in a competitive mode and you want to really prove that you are superior to others, you use this institutional structure to see that others are inferior. You have gradations, hierarchy, which college is best. That hierarchy is the ABCD in schools. A student going to A division are considered to be superior. A student in C grade earlier are considered to be inferior, dull, and all that. So that's snob. So it can be a house for snobbery. It can be also the transcendence of snobbery. So that's it. You are using education as an instrument to serve your personal end. So that's why in this modern education based on competition, you have this problem. The moment you say that sky is the limit for you, you are already needing somebody who is not really reaching there. So that asymmetry is the internal part of education. So therefore, both of them are really very critical of this. They wanted to humanize education, bring more and more human spirit into the education institution, actually to use the structure of education and institutions to actually impact the relationship in civil society. Actually, civil society and education is not different. They are corresponding to each other. If you really want to give decent framework to education, you have to actually reorient your civil society. They were actually wanting to use this education to create the very harmonizing impact, very civil impact on the civil society. Now, both of them believed in one thing, that both of them thought that education has to really aid and facilitate thinking. They are not in favor of knowledge as the means of dominating people, but thinking as a transformative potential. Therefore, there is a similarity between the two of them, but Gandhi and Ambedkar differ from each other in terms of the orientation of Gandhi is training the soul and disciplining the heart. So education thinking is for training the soul and disciplining the heart. And as I mentioned yesterday also in Bhikhu Parekh's, Professor Bhikhu Parekh's language, Gandhi might use thinking to really go for the moral surgery of heart. So that means our heart is full of infirmities and problems. So and no physical surgery can handle this disease, this ailment. It has to through moral surgery. Education and thinking is required for. So it is against oneself in Gandhi, but for Ambedkar it is against others, the tormenting others. So we need to really actually train, discipline, morally change the other who is otherwise so hostile to certain sections of the society. So ethic and morality is common thread between the two of them, but one morality is against oneself, the other is against the society. That's the basic difference. They come together, they also depart. That's the beauty of both of them. Yeah.
And so it's very important in the Indian context for my Indian colleagues to hear that democracy is hard work, and that even and that they must not take heart. What Dewey is saying is that we have to find the common areas across peoples, especially in a plural society. We have to find the things that hold them together. And there is something about the values that people are seeing in Sachin that is causing them to feel good about themselves as Indians and about him. And then what Dewey says, the second part of it is, if we could get conversations going, conversations by pockets of people who are different in the society, if you could agree that Sachin is a good man, then it means that you could agree on something. So then we could find people dialoguing. You know, you bring them together, and in that dialogue, he says, we will be creating the democracy. The politicians who normally might try to find what's different about us because they want votes, and so the politicians who will be running the country, when they are running the country and the politics are over, have to find the things that are common and uniting. And that is Dewey's notion of democracy. In education, what it means is that if you have two schools in two villages in a country, the question would be, are the two schools of comparable value? So a part of it is you can't have inequities in schooling.